Yo, what's up, guys? Everybody's favorite duo, Benji and Savage, were able to qualify for FNCS Finals. They popped off, had a 10 elim first game. We're going to be talking about how they did that, what the keys to their success was, because there's a couple interesting little tidbits that we can learn from this, especially the double harpoon. So stay tuned. Let's dive right in. Alright, so let's talk about it. Gonna watch early game. Not too much happens. They are going to be conned at Tilted by Kinzel and Deceptos. But those two are going to take the north side. Benji and Savage going to grab the south side. There's not really any conflict between these two. Maybe they'll take a couple shots here and there during the looting phase. But honestly, there's not too much here. But ultimately, the game plan for these guys is going to get their metal down at the gas station. Pretty safe, consistent way to get metal. They grab the south side. I like the south side because of the consistent metal. We know there are some metal pieces throughout, but you're not going to get that singular one big piece of metal, which we see them grab here in a second. Yeah, they're going to start hopping on this and just start whacking it. Zone is going to pull in their favor, and because they haven't really gotten any surge yet, you're going to want to post up somewhere. And so game plan generally for these guys while they're hanging out at Tilted, Savage is going to be looking, trying to get some info, trying to figure out where everyone's at. Benji's going to continue to loot, get the mats up. So Savage kind of playing the scout here while Benji does the extra looting, which is really smart. Savage going to go ahead once again, get up, do this again, and he's going to be looking for surge tags as well. So it's not as important to have both players looking for tags. Savage obviously going to get tagged up, but a couple of tags really early are important. I'd rather get a few tags early rather than just simply sit here and do nothing. And you take a little bit of damage, that so be it. It's definitely worth it rather than having to psycho someone. So we can see the damage dealt by Savage. That's going to be huge for them. Those guys were taking shots at people earlier, so before anyone freaks out and was like, "Oh my God, MrSavage has hacks," no, they were shooting at people in the bush. He just sprayed into the bush, got some tags. It's not that crazy. Relax. And then Benji making sure they have max mats. Ultimately, that's the goal. If you're not doing anything and you're just kind of sitting there chilling up top at a base that's not actually helping you, again, it's not actually helping you. So that's a big piece to their success. Is one player is up scouting, playing like the overseer of the POI, and then the other player is making sure they're getting their mats up, making sure that they have max mats for the rotate. We see they're going to jump in a car, get tagged up a bunch. This is actually a real pain for these guys because a couple of teams see them on this rotate out. So a little bit of heals used that you don't necessarily want to use at this stage in the game, but it happens, especially as you're rotating out. We see Benji get a couple more tags in there. And then they're going to look to use the wrist to make the rotate. So if we see where zone pulls, let me get this out of the way of my face. We're going all the way up to Sleepy. And with a decent bit, I'd say they have a couple hundred surge damage. Decent bit of tags. You don't want to play south side, and that's really all they're going to get if they decide to rotate through here, because the players posted up on all these hills are going to farm them for tags as they walk through. So going to get some more tags here, and typically you see these guys going for cars, but because of the rifts and because there's another team in front of them with the rifts, you have less of a chance of getting shot. So that's like one little piece that's like, all right, cool, we can hop in and use the rift instead of being nervous that you're going to get tagged up while it's happening. Here is like a little bit of a questionable piece, right? So let me talk through my thought process here, and I'll let you guys decide ultimately how you want to play this. So we see them post up here at Shifty, which is interesting because like you're kind of just buried. You're not really going to be able to get surge tags. It's just, it is what it is. Oh, look, MrSavage. He going a little crazy. Well, like, I want to talk about how these guys, only 160, 170 above, are going to be comfortable posting up and essentially being all right with, there's only a couple of teams that we're going to be able to get tags on. And at this point, after they got those few more tags, they're comfortable with being 262 above. I would be too with only 10 players. Like, that's really not that that many that need to go down comparatively to what we see in some zones. So they should be all right, and we're going to get a little bit of refarm on. Nothing crazy that these guys do in like the early and mid game. The only like one notable piece that I want to point out is what they did with Savage going up and grabbing tags while Benji farmed and looted. That's really important. I think that's key. You know, have your best surge tag player go up and take shots while the other player goes and loots. We don't necessarily need two players looting at this stage in the game. And it's honestly kind of like a waste of time to have both players looting after you get your loadout. So that's a little interesting piece to note. We'll zoom through here. All right, so we're going to see third zone pull. It's not really favorable for anyone because there's only a few players even in third zone. So going to be good for these guys. Most of the time, it's good for everyone to rotate early. You want to get these early rotates in. Typically, it plays in your favor. Sometimes you wait too late, and then the more players in the zone, the harder it becomes to rotate because they're already established. Like right now, everyone's trying to just like find their spot, and they're maybe infighting, whereas opposed to you wait another 20, 30 seconds, everyone is going to already be established and be looking for the players rotating. So these guys get a fairly free rotate into zone here. It's a nice little path we see from Savage using the mountain to cut off angles. He knows this one team up above is really going to be the problem. So watch out. Make sure if they start peeking you, you're going to build. And instead of getting too greedy, trying to get closer to these guys, Savage is like, all right, we'll post up here on the side of the mountain. This is pretty center-ish. We're like in somewhat center of third. But they're also on the south side, which will be pretty congested, which will allow them to get even more tags. So like a win-win here. Get somewhat center, but not too center, not to be able to get tags. And you know, rotating at that phase in the zone, you're really not going to be able to get center anyway without spending a bunch of mats. We saw they spent almost nothing on this rotate, and that's exactly what you want to see. So speed this up. They wind up getting a couple of elims here in the same position. Basically going to chill here until fifth zone. You know, the boy Benji always getting them good zones. But right now we're just farming surge tags. We're making sure we're not doing too much, trying to get elims that aren't even going to help us. And I see a lot of players do that, so you got to be careful. Like, yeah, you can get an elim here and the points are awesome, but at the end of the day, if it gets you killed, the points really aren't that awesome. One thing I do want to point out here, my man Savage opened this edit on this left wall to get an angle, and ultimately he's going to be leaving our boy Benji wide open to get shot at. Don't do that. Or at least like tell Benji he's got to back up a little more so he doesn't get lasered, because Benji does get lasered here. So it's an unfortunate thing. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. They're trying to get this elim. I think Benji ultimately does pick it up. Yeah, he gets it from the storm. So, boom, there's one elim. Oh, that's only the finish, actually, because he doesn't actually have the elim points. So, no elim, but more surge tags. They pull fourth, and I'm just going to keep zooming. Oh, actually, I want to show you guys this. We'll get there in a sec, but I'll slow it down when we do get there. So Savage is watching these guys up above him to the left here, and he sees they keep making the same edit, right? And they're just kind of sitting there. We see them sitting there. Savage is like, yo, Benji, come here. Benji, come here. We got a free elim. And so this is the power of the MK, right? We see these guys getting over aggressive. He's like, once they make this edit again, we're going to beam them. And he doesn't even wait for the edit to happen. They know it's weak enough and just absolutely fried. That player was standing still, right? Like, how much easier of an elim can you get than a player just standing still? Savage goes for the preemptive harpoon. This player's like literally already given up on their boy. They're like, oh, bro, you got beamed. That's your bad. I'm going to play my life here. And they're chilling. We do notice that they wind up building all the way. So they protect themselves pretty much from both sides. We'll see Savage go back, build some more. But this allows them now to have a lot of space within this zone. So let's say you get a fifth zone that pulls in one box or another. Then, you know, you got a nice, easy rotate. Fifth zone for them. We see they're right here. They're going to have to rotate either way, so the big box isn't going to really matter. Now they're searching for this player. I believe they hear him getting Storm Surge or getting hit by Storm Surge. So they're like, yo, this is a free elim. We just got to find this guy. And when Benji and Savage jump in on you, that's a GG's. So one cool thing while watching these guys, they play so well together. So Savage going for the replay, or Savage going to destroy the build. Benji's holding it because he's like on negative ping. He gets the cone. And then, boom, this guy is helpless. So, nice little elim there. Picking that up. And now it's time to rotate. They don't have too far of a rotate. And it should be relatively free. So, these guys are absolutely chilling right now. And coming off the mountain late, Savage and Benji are going to choose to play ultimate height-ish. They don't really want the high ground. They just want to play high enough so that when players are going to use the pads in 6th zone, Benji and Savage can have them scouted and just reuse them. We see if I pull up this zone, we'll get super zoomed in here. But they're a little further in than simply edge. This is going to give them, you know, a second or two if they get a max pull all the way to the other side. You want that time so you can scout those pads. And again, they're not like super far in the zone, but they're far enough to where they have a second or two when zone does inevitably pull max for them, which is unfortunate. But Savage trying to build them space up on this high position, that's going to allow them to have more pads placed underneath them. And that's ultimately what they're looking for, right? Savage is looking down, trying to see which players are going to use a pad. Because him and Benji need that. If we look at the inventories, about 140 builds total. They don't have any movement. This pad needs to be placed, and we hear one get dropped. We hear another. Lots of pads going down all over the place, so these guys are really big chilling. This is exactly what they were hoping for. And then now it's time to look for a place to land. So this is where you need to be careful. This is the original place. That winds up getting taken. Players go first. All right, bail. Just keep going lower, knowing that you have to go lower and get the free space. You want a free space rather than a contested space, especially in this meta. Especially in this meta, because you never know when someone's just going to jump in your box with an SMG if you don't have free space. So that is that. We see Benji and Savage both going to rock the Harpoon SMG at this point. So if you guys learn anything, double Harpoon, double SMG, and shotgun is just crazy. Because now they're going to have the ability to double Harpoon people down. Here's one. They're ultimately not going to be able to get that elim, but those are the kind of plays we're looking for with these guys going for that double Harpoon. So Savage obviously going to tarp. Boom. We see right here, he recognizes another player on this layer, going to build some space, build out in a different direction. That way they don't get contested. People aren't stealing their walls. And we're running low. Like, these guys definitely need a refresh. Benji's got a little more mats than Savage, but ooh, would you look at that? You heard a player get knocked. Free refresh here. Not a ton. Basically just siphon hard mats, a little more wood. But Benji and Savage have now kind of claimed this entire area to themselves as far as like the top side of this moving zone. You guys will see this here when it loads. So like top side as far as like map placement, but ultimate low ground. And now they could just sit here and take shots on everyone late trying to rotate through. A zone's going to continue to pull further away. So it's a great spot to be in if you're Benji and Savage. Ultimately, neither of them are going to get elims. But what a lot of this does is put pressure on the players behind, put them in bad positions, and kind of just dwindle down the lobby a little faster because you forced all those guys behind you in bad spots. Thought about going for a play on those guys, and they're like, nah. Now this is a little cheeky rotate that could have gone poorly for him. But these two play so well together, they're always constantly helping one another. Nice little play by Savage to grab the body, throw it ahead. That way you can get the full refresh and not worry about taking too much storm damage. And we got enough mats to rotate at least for a little bit longer. And we'll see these guys just play the double harpoon SMG shotgun really, really well as this game goes on. So they're playing continuously pushing to the dead side of these moving zones. This is a really cool play. So this is why the double harpoon's so awesome. This guy has nothing. Oh, I got ahead of myself. They will do it here in a second. Player on the backside that they heard, maybe saw because of visual audio. But we're about to see this nice little double harpoon play. And I mean, with all the different heals, with the different movement, I don't know that holding double harpoon is going to be the play. But when you can get it in the end game, yeah, I'd say it's the play. So these guys have almost no mats. Here's the double harpoon play. That guy's actually editing down through his cone on accident at the same time. So when Benji harpoons the floor, Savage actually gets him and starts that engagement with a 75 damage bonus. And then this is just cleaning up low ground. This is playing backside of zone. Everyone's fighting. They're just cleaning it up. But because they're together, they're going to min-max this, do more damage, be able to take more damage than most players that are solos at this point. And then one more solo left to clean up. Benji's going to clean that one. They see the last player on height. Little harpoon play. Teamwork, both shooting the guy at the same time. Benji doing the distraction here. Savage is going to go behind. Savage now behind the dude. Get some shots down. SMG, clean it up. And that's the dub. That's how they were able to qualify for the FNCS finals. A little 10-piece on the first game. That put them basically in cruise control. You needed like one more solid game, and they were able to qualify, and you know these guys put it together. But I want to thank you guys for watching. I appreciate you. My name's somebodysgun. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to like and subscribe. Thank you for watching. I will see you guys next time.